There is so much happening in different corners of the world that this, the Vital MX pre-game show, is about to become especially important in your bid to understand all that is happening in motocross. Yes, this is your one-stop shop for motocross news from around the world, because, remember, interesting stuff happens everywhere. Where to begin this week? Well, 2024 Monster Energy Supercross is heating up. Cooper Webb and Jet Lawrence are tied for the 450 SX Championship lead on 261 points apiece. What I want to look at here is Cooper Webb's comparison to the previous season, because it is often overlooked just how good he was in his final year aboard a KTM 450 SXF. Webb raced 14 rounds last year. Of course, he went out with a crushing concussion in Nashville, so returning to Nissan Stadium with a red plate attached to his bike is a fairy tale of sorts. Webb raced 14 rounds last year, did not drop outside of the top 5 once, whereas this year he has 10 top 5s in 13 races. Of course, rounds 1 and 2 hurt his stats somewhat. He was very fast at those events, but for whatever reason, the results did not quite stack up. Also noteworthy is the fact that this year he has 4 wins, one shy of the total that Jet Lawrence has, that being best in class, and last year Webb only had 2, so he's already doubled that total. Curious, considering just how competitive he was, as well as consistent, last year. Who's going to win this thing? Well, of course you would never want to bet against Webb in a situation such as this, but Jet Lawrence has proven to be unstoppable at points thus far. The weather is likely to play a part, but we'll get into that later in the show. The Nashville forecast does not exactly make for great reading. Unfortunately, there is some injury news to share. Aaron Plessinger crashed in the first timed session in Foxborough and fractured his elbow. No surgery is required, but he is out of the remainder of 2024 Monster Energy Supercross. He is currently targeting a return at round 1 of Pro Motocross. That will, of course, be held at Fox Raceway.
A little sore, a little swollen, but nothing's torn. Don't need surgery. Just no cast, no nothing. So just got to work on range of motion stuff and try and get back on the bike as fast as possible so I can get ready for outdoors.
Not a great way for Plessinger to end a terrific year, but let's not let recency bias overshadow the fact that he really took a step up this year and established himself as a consistent podium threat in the Premier class. In more unfortunate news, Phil Nicoletti of the ClubMX team has announced that he will retire at the end of the 2024 SuperMotocross World Championship. Nicoletti has become a fan favourite over the years. In fact, his off-track personality has often overshadowed just how competitive he is on track, both indoors and out. Nicoletti is currently 12th in the 250 SX West standings and still chasing that elusive podium. Unfortunately, it will be even tougher to get now that 2 showdowns await. The first coming in Nashville, and then the finale will, of course, be the final showdown. Not far from ClubMX is the Phoenix Honda race shop, and unfortunately 11 championship winning bikes were stolen from the shop on Sunday night. The team are appealing for witnesses to come forward, or anyone who sees any sort of activity with these rare bikes in the local area. So keep your eyes peeled. Of course, it would be great to get the team that has achieved so much some of that memorabilia back. If you want to find out more, head to the team's social media channels where they have surveillance footage as well as more information about what you should keep an eye out for. Jumping across to MXGP now, where there were more injuries to report. Lucas Kuhnen raced to 910 moto scores with a significant shoulder injury. In fact, it is quite amazing that he even raced. He, of course, kept his title hopes intact by salvaging points. He is currently 1 point down on 3rd in the championship. 3rd is Thibaut Beniston, who actually could be targeting a move to the USA in the not-so-distant future, similar to Kuhnen. With 48 motos to go, it's all to play for, so salvaging these points at the early stage in the season is critical. MXGP is often a game of attrition, and you know what? This year may not be any different. Lucas Kuhnen's Nissan Husqvarna factory racing teammate Kai de Wolf continues to lead the championship with an advantage of 26 points. But he faced his first misfortune in Trentino, round 4, that was run this past weekend. He won the first moto in a terrific performance, a real statement ride, but he then crashed in the first turn of Moto 2 and badly grazed his back. Quite the statement that he continued to ride and salvage points, whereas in the past maybe he would have let the issue bother him too much and called it a day early. Also notice that he's not quite playing into it on social media, another idea that probably would have happened in years gone by, a sign of maturity and a man who is ready to compete for his maiden World Championship. In more perplexing news, Team HRC's fill-in rider Rowan van der Moosdijk struggled in Saturday's qualification heat and then withdrew from the event. He felt a flare-up of the pre-season injury that he sustained, a knee injury at Hawkstone Park, and decided to seek further medical attention. So the team will now await further news before deciding on any action that needs to be taken. Of course, there are 2 weekends off in MXGP now, so will Moosdijk make it back for the 5th round? Potentially, but it's all quite secretive at the moment. Not many details are being given away. Of course, disastrous for Team HRC, who already lost Ruben Fernandez to a torn ACL after round 1. The good news is that Tim Geiser is holding down the fort as he always does and is thick in title contention with 48 motos to go. A long way left. So, no MXGP this weekend, but round 14 of 2024 Monster Energy Supercross awaits. The weather forecast was quite alarming earlier in the week. It looked as though it was going to rain torrentially Friday and Saturday. It's now looking a little kinder. It looks like a majority of the rainfall will come Friday morning, and then Saturday will be dry, and as proven by Birmingham, Foxborough, if it doesn't rain on race day, the track crew can salvage the conditions. So let's hope that the forecast continues to trend in a positive direction. It is interesting though, because Nashville was extremely hard pack last year, and it seems as though conditions will be very, very different this time around. It sounds as though the dirt is already particularly soft. Will that favour Jet Lawrence? He was great in Indianapolis, showed great speed in Seattle. It does seem as though those conditions play to his strengths. But on the flip side, Cooper Webb is a formidable force in all conditions, so never count him out. Everyone has made that mistake in the past and continues to make that mistake, but Webb just continues to dish up evidence that he is always a present threat. Thank you for watching the Vital MX pre-game show. We will be back next week with more news. Stay tuned to Vital MX and the various social media channels across this weekend and the week to come. If there is any news or series that you would like to see highlighted in this video, let us know in the comments below. We will see you next week.